Welcome to the first show of JonBownePolitix of 2019. On this here edition of JonBownePolitix, I'll be talking about the lunacy regarding the government shutdown, the overwhelming positive news that hemp has been legalized due to the signing of the latest agriculture bill, an update on the border situation, and we'll start things off with an introduction into how classical Marxist philosophy has been altered in the United States as early as the 1950s and has gradually risen to become what it is today, largely unnoticed and unrecognized by the American populace. Much of what is considered critical theory is being utilized by Democratic politicians, the mainstream media, and universities across America to destroy the United States from within. It's incredibly important that you as an American and your friends and family understand that, for example, when you, and I hope you don't, unfortunately find yourself in front of a mob of Antifa and they are all shouting, "You're a racist, you're a white man with white privilege, your capitalist system is killing everything, blah, 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 etc., etc." They aren't there under the auspice of listening to your argument. They're not interested. It's a childish game of name-calling where we are attacked for simply being tax-paying, law-abiding U.S. citizens, bullied until we finally relinquish our grip on the North American continent. Taking the blinders off and seeing it for what it really is astounding. Applying the knowledge of the Frankfurt School to the rhetoric found in the U.S. government and entertainment, they aren't angry with the president. They're angry with the United States. And one of the surefire ways in order to subvert our moral compass is to go after our children. In early December of 2018, Brooklyn's $3 Bill Club sold tickets to the Club Woe show, promising 11-year-old drag kid Desmond Napoles, aka Desmond is Amazing, would headline the event. The events surrounding 11-year-old Desmond could represent a turning point in the American conscience that has been quietly eaten up by pansexual, institutionalized Marxism. A slow-acting sickness that causes even the most average American citizen to wonder what is behind the acceptance of a child like Desmond, an acceptance that flies in the face of child endangerment laws. Some of us are well-schooled on what has become known as cultural Marxism, and many of our fellow American citizens are not, and I can't blame them. Marxist theory is a giant mess of complicated mental illness, but I'm sure you need more information than that. So what if I simply told you that following World War II, a group of Marxist political theorists who seemed harmless after having fled persecution in Nazi Europe after betting on the wrong totalitarian horse, communism, brought their complete disgust for Western culture to Columbia University in New York City and gradually spread their cancer into the government, media, and academic institutions of the United States. Notably flaring up in the 1960s, as Dr. Theodore Dalrymple put it, these new theories appealed to utopian adolescents who, number one, wanted to deny that they were the most fortunate generation that had ever lived, and number two, dreamed of a life completely without restraints on their pleasure. Giving the baby boomers what they wanted and not what they needed, Frankfurt School adherent, former member of the Brain Trust of the OSS American War Machine, and godfather of the New Left, Herbert Marcuse, along with his contemporaries, engineered a slow-moving Marxist revolution from within American society, utilizing a mass psychoanalytic Hegelian dialectic psyop that is blossoming today amongst the lethargic minds of the millennial generation.
My friends at the Frankfurt School considered psychology one of the main branches of knowledge that had to be integrated with Marxian theory. By no means replacing Marxian theory, but taking it into Marxism.
A synthesizing technique known as repressive tolerance. Thankfully, in the interest of time, Marcuse simplified the definition of repressive tolerance, saying repressive tolerance is intolerance against movements from the right and toleration of movements from the left. Repressive tolerance is achieved by arming the thoughts of emotional, rationally vacant liberals with the potent weapon of critical theory, a hive mentality that produces a cathartic catharsis for the self-loathing types of our society when confronting the social, historical, and ideological forces gluing the structures of a society together. One of the most effective objectives that can crater a moral society is the evil debasement of children. And lo and behold, the Frankfurt School pushed that objective wholeheartedly. It is the third objective on an 11-point plan of recommendations to take down America, published by The Nation as follows. Number 1, the creation of racism offenses. Number 2, continual change to create confusion. Number 3, the teaching of sex and homosexuality to children. Number 4, the undermining of schools and teachers' authority. Number 5, huge immigration to destroy identity. Number 6, the promotion of excessive drinking. Number 7, emptying of churches. Number 8, an unreliable legal system with bias against victims of crime. Number 9, dependency on the state or state benefits. Number 10, control and dumbing down of media. And number 11, encouraging the breakdown of the family. These points read like a checklist that we are smack dab in the middle of experiencing. Is it starting to make sense now? Why a sexualized 11-year-old boy dancing for adults can openly exist in today's American society with no fear of reprisal? Not to mention that Desmond's career is overseen by his mother and promoted by a convicted murderer, Michael Alec. Desmond is the red alert siren, blaring in your face, forcing us all to come to terms with the fact that the Marxist tactics of the left are succeeding, and any criticism of Desmond's situation is suspicious in this politically correct gulag where the left, not the Bill of Rights, now makes the rules. And they can easily do this, knowing full well they are backed up by the Marxist globalist construct occupying Hollywood, Silicon Valley, the mainstream media, and the U.S. government. The solution, America? Fearlessly and relentlessly exercise your freedom of speech until this new left realizes which country they are pointlessly shouting in. John Bowne reporting. Nancy Pelosi is a blubbering mess of lies and disinformation. For starters, she made these bold claims about the Trump administration's rolling back of Michelle Obama's federal school lunch program.
The administration is now deciding they'll make an assault on poor people in America. It's one of their regular themes. It's their understanding that they'll shortly, by executive order, undo the bipartisan agreement that was reached House and Senate in the Farm Bill in terms of nutrition for people in America. They will undo that. Why? Why at Christmas would you take food out of the mouths of the American people?
Actually, the main reason the lunch program was returned to normal is because parents were complaining that their kids were starving, as Oklahoma school superintendent David Cash admitted that the lunches are not enough. He blames the federal school lunch regulations for the unsightly meals. Cash told Fox that he knows that some kids are going hungry in his schools. And then there is the build the wall government shutdown debacle.
President Trump is throwing a temper tantrum and creating the Trump shutdown of the government.
The president is doing everything that he can to shut the government down. You have to ask the question, why? Does he not believe in governance? Does he not care about the American people?
Meanwhile, the GoFundMe campaign by a Purple Heart recipient and triple amputee veteran to fund the wall has reached $15 million.
No further votes will occur until the President and Senate Democrats have reached an agreement to resolve this.
As Congress stalls out once again, unable to escape their bubble of privilege to comprehend the perspective of the American people, President Trump refuses to budge. And why should he?
In the last 2 years alone, ICE officers arrested criminal aliens charged with or convicted of 100,000 assaults, 30,000 sex crimes, and 4,000 murders. It's rough stuff. Yet the Democrats continue to oppose border security no matter how many innocent people get hurt or die. Ridiculously and dangerously, certain people want open borders, which allow potentially massive crime. Our nation has spent trillions of dollars and sacrificed thousands of brave young lives defending the borders of foreign nations. I am asking Congress to defend the border of our nation for a tiny fraction of the cost.
Particularly Senate Democrats have a constitutional duty to protect the people of this country, and we hope that they'll step up and fulfill it today. They need to, and look, let's be really clear. What is on the line here is something that they've all supported in the past, and frankly, they've all supported in the last week. They talk about wanting border security. That's exactly what this bill does. It also has nearly $8 billion for disaster relief for states that have been ravaged by natural disasters. So the fact that Senate Democrats would put that on the line for political purposes, that's a sad, sad moment. I think it's a sad day in America when the Mexican government is doing more to protect our borders and stop the illegal flow of drugs, human trafficking, and terrorists across our border than Senate Democrats are willing to do.
We'll go to San Antonio, Texas. Annette on our line for Independence. Good afternoon.
Our citizens matter more than anything, and it's time that these, pardon my language, horrors start working for America. This is what they were hired to do, and they are failing us. I pray, and I mean this with all my heart as a veteran, that this government shutdown lasts until these senators, these congressmen start working for us.
Pelosi and company are doing what they do best, driving the country into a ditch. John Bowne reporting.
This is hemp seed. Be careful how you use it. For to grow hemp legally, you must have a federal registration and tax stamp. This is provided for in your contract. Ask your AAA committeeman or your county agent about it.
President Trump recently signed the Agriculture Improvement Act. This act designates hemp as a bona fide agricultural crop.
Through fires, floods, and freezing weather, we will always stand with the American farmers. The Farm Bill doubles the amount of farmers that they can borrow to expand and improve their farms. It expands and goes all over rural broadband. We are doing broadband. Everyone wanted it so badly. It's amazing how sophisticated the whole farm industry has become. But it expands rural broadband and dedicates additional resources to fight the opioid crisis.
Let me ask you this, sir. This legislation is also removing hemp from the Controlled Substances Act, legalizing hemp production. This provision was championed by Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. What impact is this having on your constituents?
Well, again, obviously, if it's a profitable crop for agriculture, then they will participate. They indicate there are many multiple industrial uses for hemp. This is an industrial use product medicinally as well as other products, and we look forward to developing markets for it. If it's a profitable crop, agriculture needs new products. We're so productive in soybeans and corn, we're looking for markets worldwide now to sell those. But if this is a product that can be utilized throughout the economy, it'd be good for agriculture and good for the economy.
The act introduced the rocky legal path towards complete CBD oil production, made rocky by the pharmaceutical industry's stranglehold.
Now, is there more demand for hemp than what you can grow?
Oh my God, yes. 100%.
Danny Billings started growing hemp in Colorado last year after voters made it legal, along with recreational marijuana. The hemp plant is cannabis without the psychoactive properties. Here, they're using new technology to quickly turn hemp stalks into raw materials like this pulp to make paper or this sugar to make biofuels, a sustainable alternative to oil.
So you process the entire plant?
The entire plant. Some of our clients specifically are trying to get away from oil-based products that they sell globally to bio-based products.
Furthermore, hemp could actually benefit the environment on a massive scale, perhaps even negating the ongoing climate change debate once and for all. Hemp paper is recycled 7 to 8 times on average, while wood paper can only be recycled 3 times. Back in 1916, the USDA reported that an acre of hemp produced as much paper as 4 acres of trees annually. 70% of those forests have been decimated since 1916.
In the 1930s, they made tinctures. What were they making the tinctures for, and why were they doing these tinctures?
Well, I mean, the medicinal uses of hemp are just numerous. The hemp helps, well, we can talk about the cancer effects of hemp, but it helps with inflammation. It's very anti-inflammatory. It helps with seizures. It's very effective with PTSD for the vets that are coming back that have post-traumatic stress disorder. There's about a dozen different cancers that have been studied in depth with medicinal marijuana, with hemp. And so the studies from brain cancer to prostate cancer to pancreatic cancer, uterine cancer, cervical cancer, prostate cancer, it's amazing.
Hemp could right the ship in order to save America, but only if the minions of globalization get out of its way.
I did not know Christmas morning at 4 o'clock in the morning when I said goodbye to him and sent him off to his family that it would be the last time that I saw him.
Investigators said that they have identified a possible suspect, the man seen in these surveillance pictures, but they are not yet revealing his name to protect the investigation. Investigators believe he is still in Stanislaus County, and the Stanislaus County Sheriff also revealed that the suspect was in the country illegally.
He doesn't belong here. He's a criminal.
After hearing of the death of yet another innocent American by yet another immigrant, President Trump tweeted, "There is right now a full-scale manhunt going on in California for an illegal immigrant accused of shooting and killing a police officer during a traffic stop. Time to get tough on border security. Build the wall." Replying to Trump's tweet, EMT Girl said, "For God's sake, turning the death of an officer into a political cause. How low can you go? He was gunned down by a criminal, yes. How about honoring this officer's service?" So, EMT Girl, wouldn't you agree that every crime committed by an illegal alien is one that wouldn't have occurred if that alien wasn't in the United States in the first place? And if that doesn't make sense to your high and mighty reasoning, are we as tax-paying citizens supposed to sit idly by as 116 billion taxpayer dollars go down the drain every year, as the Federation for American Immigration reported, or as the first report from 2005 GAO found that criminal aliens, both legal and illegal, make up 27% of all federal prisoners, or as the North Carolinians for Immigration Reform and Enforcement, who serve as a bellwether for child rape in the United States by illegal immigrants, reported yet another month of 91 charges of sexual assaults on children by illegal immigrants. And as the Heritage Foundation reported, the findings in the 05 GAO looked at the criminal histories of 55,322 aliens that entered the country illegally and were still illegally in the country at the time of their incarceration in federal or state prison or local jail during fiscal year 2003. Those 55,322 illegal aliens had been arrested 459,614 times, an average of 8.3 arrests per illegal alien, and had committed almost 700,000 criminal offenses, an average of roughly 12.7 offenses per illegal alien. Is America destined to have the murder rate of Venezuela transferred to our country? As Reuters reported, the murder rate in Venezuela, one of the world's highest crime countries, dipped in 2018 as some criminals apparently joined millions of law-abiding compatriots in leaving the crisis-stricken country. A local crime monitoring group said in a report on Thursday, the Venezuela Observatory of Violence said in its annual report that Venezuela still had the world's highest murder rate, 81.4 per 100,000 inhabitants. But it noted that the figure was down from 89 in 2017 and 92 the year before. Director Roberto Briceño attributed the drop in part to migration.
Jamil Shaw Sr. lost his 17-year-old son, Jazz, in 2008 when he was murdered by an illegal on the way home from a football game.
Right now, you're hearing everybody demanding to be safe in their schools and their communities. When our kids are murdered and we demand to be safe, we're all racist and we're all bigots, and, because we know Trump supports us, we're all bad people. But when their kids are dead, then all of a sudden, they're shutting down the city and they want all these gun laws and stuff like that. The guy who killed my son was on his third gun charge, but they don't care if illegal aliens carry guns and kill our kids.
So, EMT EMT girl, it becomes blatantly obvious that there is no other way to honor Newman Police Corporal Ron Singh's memory and service other than to politicize it in order to put a stop to the chaotic, broken immigration system madness. Honoring and protecting citizens, officers, and even EMT workers from the unexpected consequences of continuing to ignore the naturalization process. Addressing the ignorance that is furthering the United Nations replacement migration agenda that has reduced once peaceful European countries like Sweden into a state of war. EMT girl, is that what Officer Singh would have wanted for America? John Bowne reporting. You can always find us at dailynewscollective.com, at blablahshow.com, on YouTube at JonBownePolitix, on gab.ai at JonBownePolitix, and Twitter at NewsBound.